On this edition of Southern Newsweek, time is called on a long-running Dunedin organisation. We have a close look at what types of science are inspiring young minds, and check out all the sparkling chrome and polished paint at a hot rod exhibition. Kia ora, I'm Melissa Barton. Forbury Park Raceway in Dunedin saw horses racing under lights for the final time recently. The track has been shut down with the 111-year-old Trotting Club now looking for a new home.
Horses thundered around Dunedin's Forbury Park Raceway for the last time on Thursday night, with Trotting Club chairman Craig Barton sorry to see the facility, which first featured night racing under lights in 1960, now being shut down.
It's certainly sad. It's a wee bit like a funeral for a friend, but having said that, this place was set up by people before us, and the job for the board going forward is to find a new home and a new legacy for future generations.
A number of the track's former race commentators, such as Jason Tees, were invited back to call a few races on the 9-race card.
It's a sad day, to be fair. This place is iconic. It's been around for over 100 years, and I am very privileged to be here to be a part of it, though. I get to call a couple of races just for old time's sake, so I'm looking forward to giving this place the send-off it deserves.
Recently retired Roxburgh-based horse trainer Jeff Knight was philosophical about witnessing the end of one of the premier racing venues in the South Island.
Well, this track was one of the first sand tracks that went down in the South Island. I think it might have been the second. It's a beautiful surface, always has been. And this is a very historic night, and a lot of people have turned out here tonight just to come along because it's the last night. We were fortunate enough to train 100 winners exactly here and had a lot of good memories, and it's a shame that the place is going. 118 years of history, but at the end of the day it will always be history and no one will ever take that away.
While several other all-weather harness racing tracks are within a couple of hours' drive from Dunedin, Barton says the club is hoping to find a new home closer to town.
There are tenant clubs that race at other venues. At the moment, that's not the wish of the current membership or board. We'd like to keep the sale proceeds from this venue in the Dunedin city area if we can, so our focus is very much on retaining the harness presence in the city.
Forbury's 1,000-metre track was first set up in 1909, with saddle races being held here as far back as 1870. In Dunedin, the South today.
Wanaka's Mount Aspiring College is undergoing a significant amount of work. Officials from the Ministry of Education, as well as the region's mayor, have visited the site to check on progress.
Ministry of Education officials Scott Evans and David Patterson, plus Queenstown Lakes Mayor Jim Bolt, got a tour of the extensions being built to Mount Aspiring College in Wanaka.
I've been really impressed with Natal Love early stage of the enabling site, now pouring the footings for the block at stage 1. So we're really excited about how the progress is going today.
The extension to the school is costing over $30 million, and Queenstown Lakes Mayor Jim Bolt says it illustrates the population increase in the area.
Schools are one of our most important assets, of course, because that's where our young people get their education. Indicative of just the growth of the Upper Clutha, that this school needs to be extended. I'm very much looking forward to being back here to see further progress in a couple of months' time.
It's hoped the project will be completed by 2023.
Amazing progress being made here every day, and within 12 months we're going to see the first of our students in these brand new buildings. It's been a long time coming, but we hope it'll be well worth waiting for, and as a board we're very excited about this development.
The visit is part of a tour inspecting school building projects in Wanaka and Arrowtown. In Wanaka, the South today.
Shiny polished steel and chrome are about what you'd expect from a car show, but a Dunedin couple have decided to take it a step further. At the Zone 10 Otago Hot Rod Show in the Edgar Centre, Kevin, Patrick and Tanya Eastlake hitched a 1955 Chevrolet to a small homemade caravan.
Amongst the highly polished paint and chrome at the weekend's hot rod show in Dunedin sat a 1955 Chevrolet with matching caravan, both sporting genuine patina, or rather showing the apparent signs of age. Their co-owner, Tanya Eastlake, says they got the car and trailer separately, but says the pair seem to have been made for each other.
So that's a wee homemade teardrop caravan that we purchased. It was someone else's project and we've just sort of completed it. Yeah, and we actually had it before the car, it just happens to be that they match, so yeah.
Unlike many hot rods in the show, which feature glossy paintwork, the pair have kept their 55 Chevy with patina finish, looking like part rust and part original paint, retaining the sense of a well-used car. She says the petite caravan can sleep 2 people.
So sort of keeping it that rustic look to match the car, I guess, and sort of beachy holiday theme. We do actually take it places, and I've only slept in it for one night, but Kev slept in it at a car show that we stayed at, so yeah, it's pretty cosy for one, but 2's a squeeze.
About 200 cars feature at the weekend's hot rod show, and organising committee member Gerard Perkins says the event celebrates 60 years of hot rodding in Aotearoa.
Our national body is the New Zealand Hot Rod Association, based in Auckland, but New Zealand's cut into 11 zones, right from the tip of the North Island Kaitaia to Bluff.
Perkins says there are many different categories of hot rod.
There's a club here called Pre-49, so their cars are early hot rods, normally your Model A coupes and your early Fords and your early hot rods, which can be no later than model year 1949, so hence the Pre-49.
The national body is the New Zealand Hot Rod Association, which was established in 1961. It's divided into local clubs and 11 zones. Otago is Zone 10 and encompasses 8 member clubs from areas including Oamaru, Dunedin, Central Otago, Queenstown and Balclutha. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The University of Otago has welcomed a host of inquiring minds at its annual Science Expo. Doctorate students were on hand to answer a range of questions and broaden the minds of many aspiring scientists.
Have you ever wondered why some rocks glow? University of Otago Geology PhD student Rachel Baxter explains how shining UV light on minerals reveals their secrets.
It's because of the little impurities in it, so it's got to be some sort of metal element in there, say like strontium, and the electrons on the outside of the strontium, they're the ones that can jump out and get excited and will settle back in. But if you didn't have any of those impurities, you might not get that signal, at least with this fluorescence.
Baxter is one of the scientists offering expertise at the University of Otago's Science Expo in the School of Business building. A massive walk-in brain attracted many people of all ages popping through for a look-see, as this time-lapse shows. Back at the rocks table, Rachel Baxter says they have to have a safety-first approach when people are looking at rocks under UV light.
And then we'll get you to throw on the safety glasses, just because, say something exciting happens, we wouldn't want your eyes to be protected. And then we take that rock or mineral and move it into the black box, and then we'll lift up the curtain and show whatever change has taken place.
Other scientific fields of inquiry being covered include dentistry, and alongside that, seeing how much sugar is in foods, while at the other end of the body, researchers were taking a scientific guess at how long it would take a pair of used undies to break down in soil. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, we check in with the Dunedin building's transformation, and we head to Invercargill to see an exhibition of fast food toys. So see you after the break. Welcome back. A historic central Dunedin building has been given a new lease of life, inspired by its former occupants. Investment House in Moray Place, opposite First Church, has undergone an 18-month restoration.
In 2004, Dunedin accountant Andrew Bosworth bought the 120-year-old Investment House building for his accountancy business, with plans to develop it.
So over the following 15 years or so, we came up with all sorts of different iterations to develop the building. The first one was apartments, so we went a little way down the track to develop apartments at that point, but it didn't work out in the end.
The redevelopment was designed by Oamaru heritage architect Ian Butcher, and Bosworth says after the initial false start, the decision was made to keep the bottom floor as office space and transform the second floor into 4 upmarket apartments.
So we let it lie for a bit longer, and eventually we came back to the apartment idea in about 2017, 18, and haven't looked back.
The building was gutted and the initial build time was expected to be 9 months. But COVID-19 related delays meant it took 18 months and was finally completed in April. The name Bell Hill Apartments comes from the site Investment House sits on, which was cleared to connect North and South Dunedin in the 1860s. Bosworth says the building's heritage was paramount in their decision making.
Making sure that this building stays around for another, more than 100 years, and the fact that we were able to achieve that is something that we're proud of. And we also made sure that we did retain a lot of the heritage features of the building.
Each of the 4 apartments is named after Investment House's former owners and occupants. And Bosworth says the history of the building was researched, so each apartment represents the former occupier. In Dunedin, the South Today.
If you've ever wanted to get a close-up look at the moon, now's your chance. The International Science Festival has been exhibiting a 4-metre wide replica of Earth's satellite at a central Dunedin venue.
Hanover Hall on Dunedin's Moray Place is currently home to a stunning 4-metre wide version of the moon. The exhibition is part of the New Zealand International Science Festival being held in various venues across the city. Dunedin mother Sarah Ferguson says the display of the ethereal globe, which started yesterday, is well timed for the school holidays.
We love this stuff and always enjoy the neat things that we have here, and appreciate that we can have activities during the school holidays that teach the kids something and get a bit of energy out of them.
Festival director Dan Hendra says the replica was originally created in the UK and is now touring the world.
It's done by British artist Luke Durham, who is an internationally renowned artist. He does a huge amount of large installations. He's actually got a number of other similar products, such as one with the Earth and one with Mars, something that we're definitely interested in the future.
The illuminated globe has been printed with a composite image derived from high-resolution NASA photographs and is a very accurate impression of what the Earth's giant satellite must have looked like to astronauts as they approached it 50 years ago.
Personally, I'm interested in trying to find out where the first man walked on the moon, so I've yet to find that out, but that's something that I'll be looking at over the coming days.
The giant moon is just one of many interactive events at Hanover Hall, which Hendra says are designed to make the wonders of space travel understandable to both young and old.
We just had the story time before, and the little kids are just looking up in wonder. We have beanbags out, and it really makes them think about the moon and the world around them a bit more, and that's the goal of what the Science Festival does, is making it more accessible. And you can't get much more accessible than hanging the moon just a couple of metres from reach.
The moon exhibition runs during daytimes until Sunday, with a late night session set for Saturday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The central night sky was filled with close to 1,000 bobbing paper lanterns recently. The event was just one of the many during this year's midwinter celebrations at the Cromwell Mall, which has grown to such an extent they now spread over 2 days.
Youngsters and their parents gathered at Cromwell's Big Fruit Reserve on Saturday evening to launch about 1,000 lanterns into the winter sky. The trail of bobbing lights is part of the annual Infinite Energy Light Up Winter celebration, which was first held 5 years ago.
It was a chance to break the winter, basically, because nothing happened in Cromwell. So it's an awesome community celebration to get everybody out and light up our mall, as you can see.
Cromwell and District's Promotions Group Community Relationships Manager Gretchen Nightingale says the event, which sees the Cromwell Mall lit up in all manner of light displays, is now attracting winter revellers from far and wide.
It's been amazing, just watching the families out all together and everyone dancing and just bringing the community and sharing with visitors. Like, I met someone who's from Kerikeri today, so that's amazing that we're bringing people from out of our area into Cromwell.
This year the celebration was spread over 2 nights to accommodate all the different winter-themed events on offer.
The fact that we decorate the mall, and it takes us a week and a half to decorate the mall, and then it's for 4 or 5 hours, so we thought let's try and do another night and share.
Nightingale says the event relies heavily on the hard work of volunteers as well as the support from the community, and this year saw additional light displays being provided by Queenstown's Luma Light Show and the Southern Lights Orchestra.
We have volunteers that come from all over Cromwell, from Rotary to just anybody that comes along, and if we didn't have our volunteers we couldn't run this event. So they're so special, and we get the same volunteers year after year, so it just shows how special this event is and how passionate people are about keeping it alive in Cromwell.
It's thought about 5,000 people attended this year's event. In Cromwell, the South Today.
A new exhibition of collectible McDonald's toys is now on display at Bill Richardson Transport World in Invercargill. The exhibition also includes a full-size car that looks like a hamburger.
Invercargill's Bill Richardson Transport World is now home to what is believed to be the largest display of retro McDonald's Happy Meal toys in New Zealand. A large portion of the exhibit comes from about 1,500 toys that were bought from an Auckland collector and shipped down to Invercargill in time for the school holidays. But Transport World Executive Director Jocelyn O'Donnell says the highlight of the show is this fully operational fillet-o-fish car, originally created as part of a road safety campaign.
I was sort of saying to Alana, if we got any of that Click Goes the Seatbelt campaign stuff that Ronald McDonald did years ago, and they said, oh no, we haven't, but we have got something you might like, and they sent through a photo of the fillet-o-fish car, and I just was bouncing around my office like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing. So we took that actually to our work too, HWR work too, and the kids, the delight, wasn't it? The kids just absolutely loved it. We were driving them around, and so that was a pretty cool addition.
O'Donnell says the quirky exhibition is one that will hopefully appeal to all the different types of people who visit the museum.
You try and, within this museum space, in the museum world, they call it layering, where you try and have different layers of things so that there's something for everyone. And this is just a fun exhibit. I said to Graham, our workshop manager, I said, what do you think Dad would think of me having a McDonald's toy collection in his museum? And he said, I don't think he'd mind at all, because he was always just intrigued to what it was that people collect. And it just happens that this person was a collector of McDonald's toys.
The McDonald's Happy Meal Toys exhibition opened yesterday. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, we head to Alexandra to catch up with some younger curlers, and a Dunedin organisation celebrates a significant milestone. So catch this and more after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Central Otago school pupils enjoyed the chance to spend the last day of term outdoors on Alexandra's ice rink. Under sunny skies, youngsters from 8 schools competed against each other in the gentle sport of curling.
Intermediate age pupils from 8 different Central Otago schools battled it out under the clear winter skies on the outdoor ice curling rink in Alexandra recently. Organiser Nick Loughnan says the annual Central Otago Primary School's Interschool curling competition involves a shorter distance than the standard length used by adults.
They're playing a modified version of the game, so they're playing short 12-minute games, 16 teams playing across the rink, so it's a short rink for them. And each of the 16 teams plays 15 games, so they're flat out all day.
Experienced curlers were on hand to share their skills and teach proper curling etiquette to the pupils. Loughnan says the day is a good opportunity for the youngsters to have a go at the two different types of curling practiced around the world.
It's a game that boys and girls can both play. There's two different styles to it. There's the traditional crampet curling where the stone is delivered standing. We've got that being played here today, as well as the hack curling where the stone is slid across the ice.
Now in its 13th year, the competition is held on the final day of second term and has become a highlight in the calendar for many Year 7 and 8 pupils.
Most of the kids in Central have done this before, and because of that it makes it a really easy event to organise.
In the end, Roxburgh Area School took home first place, followed by Poolburn School and St Gerard's Primary School. In Alexandra, the South Today.
Dunedin's Otago Youth Wellness Trust is celebrating 25 years of helping young people in the South. Principal Youth Court Judge John Walker is among the keynote speakers at the Trust's Anniversary Symposium and says organisations like this help many youngsters.
At 25 years old, the Otago Youth Wellness Trust is coming of age in a world where there are immense pressures on teens.
This week we're celebrating our 25th anniversary, so we were formed in 1996 out of the community with a team of young people and leaders in the community coming together to create a place that our young people said they wanted.
Incoming Trust Manager Claire Ramsey has just taken over from Barbara Payton, who was in the role for 23 years. Keynote speaker, Chief Youth Court Judge John Walker, says there is one major issue affecting tens of thousands of young people in Aotearoa.
The 150,000 call-outs in a year to police to go to a family harm incident, and 80% of those cases children are present in the home, listening to it from their bedroom, looking around the door jamb. And it won't be a once-only thing, mostly it'll be like a regular occurrence for them. And we know that the exposure to that sort of trauma has a serious effect on brain development. Also, learned behaviour, that this is okay, this is normal way to deal with relationships. So we see 80% of our young people coming into the youth court have come from a background where they have been exposed to family violence.
Otago Youth Wellness holds the attendance contract for Dunedin schools, making sure 17,000 children attend school regularly. Claire Ramsey says skipping school can be an early warning sign of things not being right with a young person. Bunking or wagging school is one of the issues which brought Ezra Moody to the attention of the Trust many years ago, and he's now thankful for the intervention.
I think Otago Youth Wellness, I think Malcolm Trust, and I would think Youth Grow. They all played a massive part in, helping me get up and go.
After going through alternative education, he's currently the second in charge of ground staff at Dunedin's Botanic Garden. Judge Walker is thankful the number of people appearing before the youth court is declining, and says as a team they have to believe the system can make a change in some people's lives.
But there are enough good news stories out of the youth court to keep us all very enthusiastic about what we do.
Judge Walker says by the time young people appear in youth court, they're already facing a multitude of issues. Claire Ramsey says it was an honour to have significant keynote speakers, including Catherine Burkett and Judge Walker, speaking at their Silver Anniversary Symposium. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Last weekend saw the inaugural running of a 3-day music festival in Dunedin called Lobo Fest, the winter edition. The event follows a similar show held at Loboski Farm during summer by Dunedin restaurateur and musician Ed Lobo.
3 days of live music called Lobo Fest began on Friday and ran until Sunday evening at venues across Dunedin. The series of shows is the brainchild of Umbrella's proprietor Ed Lobo, who says nearly 100 musicians took part.
We had 97 musicians, 32 bands playing over 3 days.
Lobo says a couple of venues hosted shows, a warehouse on Thomas Burns Street, as well as the Otago University Students Association run venue called Starters Bar. He says the warehouse space was transformed for the show, which featured rising indie rock stars Freedom.
We actually redesigned a warehouse to make the venue, which ended up being a great venue, probably a once in a lifetime.
Friday's gig was the pre-event hype show at Starters Bar. Saturday's was the main event in a Thomas Burns Street warehouse, with the last show, called the post-event, returning to Starters Bar. Lobo says the band Loose and Colourful headlined the event, which also featured songwriter Kylie Price. Speaking at the end of Sunday's after show, Ed Lobo was thankful to the many sponsors who took part and believed the winter event might just happen again.
So we are planning to do this again next year, again a Winterfest. And we've been doing a Summerfest for about 6 years now. This is the 7th Lobo Fest. And it's always been in the summer for a local project, but the Winterfest is now for just to give the band an opportunity to play, and all the profits actually go to all the musicians.
He says people can expect to hear which bands are playing at the Summer Festival in February 2022, just before Christmas this year. In Dunedin, the South Today.
An Alexandra French Bowls Club has moved to a larger purpose-built facility. Local Mayor Tim Cadogan says he hopes the new bowl petanque courts will encourage both locals and out-of-town visitors to take part.
The official opening of the Alexandra Petanque Club's new courts on Monday featured a celebrity match between Vincent Community Board Chairman Martin McPherson and Central Otago District Mayor Tim Cadogan, a game which drew out the Mayor's competitive streak.
Well, it was a whole lot of fun, and the real pleasure of it was that I'd thrown the bowls in the backyard with the kids, but actually understanding the rules of the game and getting a bit of a head for the tactics with some great coaching, and the best bit was that the best team won, and that's the important bit.
The club has raised the bulk of the $20,000 needed to build the new complex, which included building fences and seating and levelling the ground, creating a dedicated space for large events.
We used to run competitions here in Alexandria, but used the ice and line car park, which was adequate for 12 piece and for the competition. But of course, with the new curling and the extension of the ice and line, we had to find an alternative.
Club President Alan Motion says the French form of bowls can appeal to people who might not always call themselves sports players.
Because it's a low impact sport, and it actually caters for all ages, all disabilities, so the whole community can get involved. We're hoping that families will get involved. We'll have twilight petanque games where they can come along after tea or something like that to play. So yeah, we're looking to really increase our membership.
And Mayor Cadogan hopes the new courts will appeal to locals as well as tourists passing through.
Well, it's just superb. It's great to see a club in Central Otago outgrowing actually the place it had, and with 4 years of effort, funding which has come through, which has been really helpful, and a great deal of work by the members, we've now got this fantastic new facility that's in a location where people driving past will see it, and it's just another offering for people visiting Central Otago, right by the Motor Caravan Association Park. Absolutely ideal for visitors and locals alike to enjoy.
The new 12-pieced courts are located next to the Alexandra Bowling Club. In Alexandra, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.